and Michael Vick is joining us. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing really, really well. And, Michael, I hope you are, because I've talked about this on the show. The two things that jumped out to me, you were very soft-spoken and very gracious, and your size. I said, you were such a star, Michael, that when I saw you, I thought, Michael's not real big. And you ran, Mike, and you took shots. And I hear Cam Newton complaining about getting hit, and Big Ben's hurt, and Russell Wilson's hurt. Mike, do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you know you've played in the NFL? How are you physically?
Physically, I'm great. There are times where I feel like, just with my mindset, having a couple concussions, I feel like that affect me now a little bit. But other than that, my body feels great. I feel like I held up. I'm thankful to be, up and walking and able to use my legs. Sometimes my MCL, I had an MCL sprain in 2005, so that bothers me sometimes in terms of tightness and soreness. And I broke my ankle in 2003, so that bothers me at times. But for the most part, man, I feel like for all the hits that I've taken over the years, I'm doing well.
When you were at the height of, you went to Green Bay, you won a playoff game, you were a rock star in America. But unlike Cam, you weren't in a million endorsements. You've always taken. I've always taken you as kind of a quiet guy. Were you comfortable being as hugely popular as you were?
Well, in my situation, I always felt like less was more, and I didn't want to overexpose myself to so many endorsements and TV and so many opportunities that I got sidetracked in terms of football. My primary goal was to ultimately win a championship for the city of Atlanta or for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's all I focused on. So, the mindset that you got to take on as an NFL quarterback is to try to limit so many outside distractions, because they come from various angles, and you have to be able to kind of deal with that and police it in a lot of situations.
Jamie Collins said the other day, hey, I don't even like football. I'd rather play video games. Kobe Bryant says, I don't miss the game. Do you miss the game?
Honestly, no, to be frank with you. And I think because I played for 13 years and was a part of it for 15, I feel like I got a lot of satisfaction out of it. In the beginning, when I was young and hungry, I went all out and tried to obtain as much as I could. I tried to have as much success as I could for myself and my teammates and the organizations that I was playing with. And could I still do it? Yes. Do I still love it? Yes. Every Sunday when 1 o'clock comes, does the memories, become reconciliation? Yes. And I appreciate that. I'm more so a fan of the game now, and I appreciate watching it and knowing that I was a part of that experience, and I can relate to every situation that's going on the football field. And it feels good to be able to say, yeah, I've done it for 3 years and had some success doing it. For 13 years, I'm sorry.
When you watch tapes of you, what do you see?
Now that I'm older and I'm able to look back on my career and watch highlights and the things that I was able to do versus that level of competition was uncanny. It was unreal, the way my body moved and contorted in so many, instances was just phenomenal. And, it was a blessing from God to have that type of talent. I'm glad that I was able to use it in so many ways that opened up the eyes to a lot of people and coordinators to want kids to want to play that way, coordinators to want to have quarterbacks that way. Yeah,
no question. There's no question you inspired many. Changed football at the quarterback position to a large degree. Michael Vick, it's this Friday, 9 Eastern on the NFL Network, Michael Vick, A Football Life. I have said multiple times when I used to work at ESPN and now at Fox that you had one of the great speeches in my career of doing this. After the situation with the dogs, you came up, the dog fighting, and you probably had notes, but you just kind of looked at the audience and said a very heartfelt, I'm sorry. And I thought it was one of the most impressive things I'd ever seen from an athlete. And when you go back to that time in your life, from that point until today, did that change you? The criticism, how it obviously altered your football life. How did it change you?
It was a very difficult situation to have to deal with. And previously having everything that I wanted in my life and then having it taken away, like Peter King said, to fight dogs, was very disturbing at the time, and going through it as I had time to reflect on it. And that was part of the reason I did that speech and didn't have any notes, was because, I wanted it to be contrite. I wanted it to come from the heart. I wanted to get up and say what I was really feeling at the time. And at the end, when I said I had to redeem myself, it wasn't because I was losing my career or I was losing my money. It was because I was losing the respect of so many people.
Yeah.
And, in regards to my situation with the Falcons and my relationship with Arthur Blank and Roger Goodell and not being honest and forthright, really disturbed me at the time, because I had so many opportunities just to make it right and to be honest, and it could have changed the outcome of my whole situation in its entirety. And, I chose in those moments not to do it the right way. And, I look back on it now and I'm just glad that I could just take a deep breath and say, thank God that I had people in my corner to help me turn my life around.
Michael Vick joining me. Dan Reeves, Jim Mora, Andy Reid, Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin. Those guys are good coaches. They've won a lot of games.
Yeah.
Which one helped you as a man more?
Man, I would feel like I'm doing a disservice to every single guy that you just named by pointing one out specifically. I would just have to say, as a whole, they helped shape and mold me. Even my season last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin just was an opportunity for me to just sit back and learn and talk to a guy who knows way more than me about life and understands the values of life and the morals that comes along with it. All those guys, Andy, Jim, Coach Dungy, Roger, these guys played a very integral part in me becoming a man before I was a man.
Were you surprised that Andy Reid gave you that second chance in Philadelphia, considering the controversy? Were you surprised?
Absolutely, but once I got to know Andy, I understood why. And you have to talk to him. He's a very intelligent man, very detailed, very sophisticated, and straight to the point. And I had so many opportunities to sit down and talk with him on a day-to-day basis that I was learning so much as a young man. Growing into an older man, I was just soaking it all in. And even back when I was with Jim in Atlanta, it was so many gems that he used to drop on me and so many things. He's Mike, why don't you try doing things this way or doing things that way, that I never understood his logic, and now I do. And 5 years later, and going to Philly, I started to understand why he was saying the things that he was telling me, and it just helped change me and have a different outlook on life.
Well, you turn it around. I'm happy for you. I appreciate you coming on our show. And you know what? Just listening to your voice and the way you talk about others, it seems like you have kind of gotten your arms around Michael Vick and you've grown up. And I'm really happy for you, Michael.
Thank you. That means a lot. One last thing. I want to say thank you to everybody who participated in the football life. I know their lives are time-consuming, and they had to take moments out of their time to talk about, a kid who they had an opportunity to spend time with. So Coach Dungy, Andy, Mike Tomlin, anybody I'm missing, everybody, I just want to say thank you. Jim, y'all were phenomenal. My experiences were great, and I'm glad that I still have the relationships with those guys that I have now. So I appreciate them all.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.